Here on the Boxer Sports Network, your sports information director, Mike Smith, joined by professor of biology and, of course, our faculty athletic representative as well, Lisa Sardinia. Lisa, thanks for taking the time to chat with me and, talk about your, time that, your tenure that you've been the FAR, as they call it, the athletic, representative. But thanks for taking time.
You bet.
We'll start off, with just kind of maybe giving some people some background on you. You've obviously been at Pacific for a while, but tell everybody a little bit about you.
So I've been at Pacific now for in my 25th year. I grew up on the West Coast, moved around a lot. So California, Washington, Nevada. I went to college at another Northwest Conference school at Whitworth. And my brother went to school there. He's a professor there now. So we have a little competition going on whenever Pacific and Whitworth play. Went to graduate school in Bozeman, Montana, go Cats, Montana State. Then I did some research and taught for a while in San Francisco. Spent 2 years teaching at St. Olaf College in Northfield, Minnesota, which was not the best fit for a nice Italian girl from the West Coast. So came back to San Francisco and went to law school, which is, I know, kind of weird. And was actually planning to continue doing biotech patent law, but moved to Oregon to work in Oregon and was teaching for 1 year at Pacific while I was studying for the bar exam, but I really liked it here. So 25 years later, here I am teaching in biology and the College of Optometry and the Physician Assisted Studies program. So getting to watch students sometimes for 8 years through their entire careers, and the faculty athletic rep for 20 years.
Nice. You mentioned obviously being in that faculty athletic rep role for 20 years. What kind of enticed you to take on that role, back when you started?
Sure. I had been going to athletic events. I come from a pretty sporty family. We all participated in various sports and watched lots of sports. And it was great. Even shortly after I got here, I started going to events because my students were playing. And the athletic director at that time, Judy Sherman, saw me at all these events and we got to know each other. And she asked me one day if I wanted to be the faculty athletics representative. And I responded, what's a faculty athletics representative? And so she told me a little bit about it. It sounded pretty interesting. So I just said yes.
Nice. Jump right in.
Yeah.
What's been, some of your kind of favorite memories, obviously being in that role, and some of the things that you felt that have been, a chance for you to make an impact, obviously, in that role?
Sure. One of my favorite parts is actually not on campus, and that is I go to the convention, NCAA convention, every year. I've served on a couple of NCAA committees. I've gone to the FAR Institute, and I've gotten to know faculty athletic reps, coaches, ADs, presidents from all across the country. And it has just been fascinating to meet all these people and talk to them about all kinds of things that happen at their schools, not just athletics. So that's really been exciting, and being able to bring that back, getting ideas from just all over the place has been great. I would say serving on committees. I was on the Sportsmanship and Ethical Conduct Committee and the Committee on Student Athlete Reinstatement. And that was 4 years each. So that turns out to be how many trips to Indianapolis? I don't know. I never had been to Indianapolis before, and now I've been 20 times. Who'd have thunk? But again, talking to people from all across the country, really meeting the NCAA staff, talking about the kinds of issues they're dealing with, and then bringing that back, to just this little school up in the Pacific Northwest, I think has been really good getting out of our little bubble.
Well, you're handing off the role to Brent Johnson as well after this year. You're kind of doing FAR this year as together. But what's, over the 20 years that you've been a part of, being in that position, you obviously have affinity for athletics. You were going to the events, and of course, teaching some of the athletes as well. what's been some of the relationships been like, between you and the athletes, and in this position, but just in general?
Yes. So again, at a small school with this many student athletes, I've had student athletes in my classes, right? They're in all the majors. They're not off in some little corner of the campus. And this is going to sound really corny, but I truly believe this. I truly believe that athletics can be such an important part of a college education. The not just the work ethic, just so much about life and disappointment and how to handle failure and success gracefully, dealing with others, taking criticism. Gosh, just learned so much. I think students do that. And so I have always enjoyed advising athletes, helping them as they're trying to get to graduate school. I find that not universally, but often they are really open to hearing my advice because they've been told what to do by coaches for years. And I get to write really strong letters saying, this student might not have the highest grades you've ever seen, but they will do whatever it takes because they know how to do that. They know, they don't give up. They don't say this was too hard. I don't want to do this. They just keep going. And I've seen so many of them now become successful professionals because of often what they learned in athletics, not just in classes. That I found in several classes, they've been helpful because many of them have really good attitudes. They bring to class like what they bring to the team. And when other students are whining or not playing, they're like, no, come on, let's go. They're almost like cheerleaders in the class. So it's just been delightful working with them, seeing them grow, helping them move on to the next steps in their lives.
Lisa, you mentioned obviously kind of growing into the role at Pacific. You maybe wasn't what you had planned on actually, being here as long as you had. But what maybe stood out to you about Pacific and still stands out to you maybe now on why you did stay as long as you have, and something that you can tell people about Pacific University of like why it is such a great place.
This is an easy one because I get asked this question whenever we're doing a search for a new faculty member or staff, and they say, what is it that you like about Pacific? And so I've had a chance to think about it, and to me, it's easy. It is the students. And remember, I went to a small liberal arts college, as did my brother. My sister went to UPS for like a whole Northwest Conference family. And these are all small liberal arts. They're all great schools, let's be honest. I taught at a different liberal arts college. I've really not ever seen quite the family atmosphere. This is where you learn Ohana. It is amazing at how supportive so many of the students are. And this might be kind of a weird word to use for students. I find that most of them are very kind. They're kind to each other. They're kind to faculty and staff. I've been telling people, I think one of the reasons we haven't had a bunch of outbreaks at our school, as they have had at some others, is because our students care. And they don't want to get their professors, the staff, they don't want to get people sick. And so they're doing the right thing. And that's one example, but that's kind of what I've found. And I just loved being around students so much that I just kept staying.
I can attest to that in my short time being here. The atmosphere has definitely been great in the people I've been able to interact with when athletics and in non-athletic fields as well. Lisa, it's been a pleasure chatting with you, and look forward to meeting you in person sometime down the road. And best of luck with the rest of the semester.
Thank you.